Okay, so before we start, konting background lang. So sa advent nitong pandemic na to, we saw a surge of creators take to the web to showcase their books. A lot of them making their titles online for the first time. Most of our events also were canceled. Tapos may nagkaroon ng void to be filled for avenues to show off yung works ng ating mga creators. Tapos nung time na yon nagkaroon tayo ng mga bagong platforms na mag-host nung works nila. So Komikon would like to get to know you better. So we have here Miss Nissie, Arcega, and Bernie Mercado representing Penlab. So can you give our viewers a bit of background info on who you guys are?
Magka-org kami nung college actually. Tapos film-related siya. Si Bernie, independent filmmaker siya. And ako, bus producer, producing side. Ganon. But then, like individually, like from that college, like, or individually kami come into the comic scene. Tapos parang we just found each other again doon. So by that time, nag-start nata magsulat si Bernie ng comics niya with Carl Joe. Tama ba?
Yeah, mga 2017. I think if naalala niyo yung Magic X na nirelease namin ni Mick last year, I was working on that originally with Carl Jovier for a pitch sa Anino Comics. Pero hindi siya natuloy. Tumagal na yung project. So instead, we made our own group to develop our own IPs.
Yeah. Tapos ako nagpo-volunteer ako lagi sa Komikon through my other org, yung Grail.
Yeah. So, you touched on any works our viewers might be familiar with. I know si Bernie has been attending yung conventions for the past 2 years. Tama ba?
I think, mga 2019 lang din ata ako. But
so 2019,
last year lang.
2017.
Sorry.
Siguro yung pinaka-familiar na work na for our viewers is Katipunero Warrior, which we're doing with Zampay. And we're also doing a lot of other works with other young artists. Ayun.
Okay, so Penlab. How did yung idea ng Penlab started?
Nag-start kasi na gusto namin kumuha ng sarili naming website para sa comics namin sa Kalabaw Collective. So parang gusto namin gayahin yung reader ng mga webtoon, ganon. But then, nung nangyari yung pandemic, nag-lockdown, parang napansin namin ang daming nagpo-post ng works nila for free, like you said earlier. So parang naisip namin, ba't hindi na lang i-consolidate sa isa? I mean, kasi kung mag-i-investor naman kami sa website, ba't di na lang siya like i-open to the whole community? Parang gano'n. Like medyo open naman sila to post their stuff online din. Yun yung main hesitation namin previously. Pero ayun, nag-crystallize siya nung nag-lockdown kasi nga hindi na makalabas, hindi na makapunta sa cons. Ayun.
So originally, nung mga 2019, noong November, we wanted to start our own platform na rin talaga. Pero dati, yung mas gusto namin gawin is parang, tawag dito, comics from Southeast Asia. Kasi,
mas wider.
Marami ng other platforms active pa yung Haliya before, so we were thinking what other thing can we offer. So, and then, yun nga, yung sinabi nila the pandemic happened. And sayang naman if puro works lang namin yung nandun sa website. So, mas maganda na everything's there. Everybody's sharing yung audience that we have on the website. Okay.
So, how did you come upon yung name Penlab? Any explanation or behind the name?
Yung first name that I pitched kay Nissie was Comic Next. Kasi parang medyo cringe. Pero parang next
Next
generation
gen.
na platform for comics kasi. Kaya naisip ko Comic Nights. So, nag-isip na ako parang with Netflix kasi, for example. Maganda yung name ng Netflix, diba? I mean, it reminds you of movies that are being streamed on movies and series that are being streamed on digital. Pero, it doesn't say the word movie. It says flicks, pero iniba nila. So, parang I was thinking of something, an object, that we could connect to comics the same way. So, I thought of pen tablet. So, doon nang galing yung Penlab. Then, ginawang L. Naging Penlab. Wala talagang very specific explanation about what lab means. Though maraming mga other people na tawag dito, tinitreat yung pen and lab as two different words, pero isang word lang talaga sila.
I thought it was silang play on laboratory or something, since
pero
it's a new platform.
Mas play siya on since yung focus din ng Penlab is kind of like a collab of the entire community. Parang it's a collaboration of pens or something like that. Yeah.
Kaya rin yung URL rin namin is .inc. Para lang mas madagdagan yung relation to comics. Kasi parang nung sinerch namin yung Penlab, may diagnostic center rin sa Cagayan ata or something, sa Davao, ganun. Na Penlab yung name. Yeah, so yun.
Okay, so how can you explain to us how Penlab works? Ano yung basic na ina-offer nyo for creators and readers?
Well, primarily, hub siya for like all kinds of Pinoy comics. Parang gusto sana kasi namin i-merge yung mga iba-ibang genres and different types of creators and art styles, ganon, into one place. Para hindi siya, kasi ang hirap kasi pag maraming iba-ibang website pa na hanapin yung comics or like nag-duplicate yung content or yung mga issues na nakalagay. So yun yung main thing niya. But I think what sets us apart is that curated siya. Kasi parang ang hirap rin kasi with like webtoon or tapas. Like sila yung nagpo-post mismo. Like you can create an account and then ikaw na bahala mag-update. But then with us, medyo curated yung library namin. Ay, hindi medyo. Curated talaga siya. Ayun, kasi parang gusto sana namin i-forward yung parang the best of Pinoy comics or like those na may potential. Ayun.
Oh, so I guess talagang it's not like the other sites where you can upload freely na lang yung work mo. So you have to be invited nga, or do you have to
Hindi
submit?
Naman.
You have
to submit. Yeah. Hindi naman super rigorous yung criteria for getting on. Pero keen kami on like technical skill, yung story, yung premise din, like yung concept, kailangan very fresh and very new siya. Ayun. Important din kasi sa amin yung pag-schedule ng releases namin. Like yung theme, medyo themed yung release namin per week. Para hindi siya super gulo. So, I think kasi mas na-maximize kasi pag nag-group mo together yung similar titles. Kasi parang kunwari, mahilig ka sa Pinoy manga. So, yung sa Pinoy Manga Week, meron ka ng top 8 recommendations, parang gano'n.
Okay. So, talagang talagang na-organize nyo into your genres and specific stuff yung inyong comics. Okay.
Yung difference din kasi webtoon is that mas malaki yung market nila, definitely. It's a world market. So, if gagawa tayo ng platform dito sa Pilipinas, mahirap to just do the same thing na ilalapag mo lang lahat ng comics na open time. So, that's why we're doing scheduling then to make the readership even better. Kasi maliit lang yung community natin, maliit lang din yung production. So, mas konti yung content if you compare that to Webtoon. So, pag mo lahat mauubos agad. So, yun din yung isang dilemma na hindi dapat maubos yung content. As much as possible.
A question about dun sa ganun, yung sa approach nyo na curated nga, tapos yung fear na maubusan tayo ng content. Di ba mas maganda if it's open to all? For example, one thing kasi na na-open up nitong ating bagong platforms is most of nung ating mga creators is Manila-centric pa rin. Pero there are a lot of talents outside of Manila. Actually, traveling to provincial shows, what Komikon does. Ang daming may mga works na hindi siya readily available dito sa Manila. Pero yun nga, advantage ng being online would be it would be yun nga, mas magiging available, and they don't have to print anything, they don't have to go here, they could submit it to you. Which is nagtatayin doon sa isa kong question na how did you build up yung roster nung titles for your website, which you partly answered na rin, na you curate nga, you specifically pick which titles will appear dun sa site.
Ayun. Yung curation namin, medyo flexible din naman siya kasi we wanted to reflect what goes on, what people are putting out then in the convention. So parang what we're trying to do with our content management is parang simulation siya of what you can see in the conventions. So nagre-reach out din kami sa mga creators outside Manila. So like we have works ni Ren Galena dito sa Penlab. He's from Davao. And we'd like to reach out to other creators din. So even though opening submissions namin, sometimes we still do look for other creators that we can specifically invite. Kasi we wanted to really be a representative ng Pinoy comics in one place. Kaso lang, we also need to have a balance with our content.
Yeah.
Kasi the problem is if we put like everything all at once, aside from maubusan na, if we just accept like anything, ang mangyayari din is saturate yung content dun sa website and we'll lose our readers. So we need to have that balance to still make the readers excited pa rin to keep on coming back. Kasi yun I guess din yung mahirap about having a website or the digital space online. Hindi mo lang pwedeng ilagay lahat or ilagay anything basta-basta because it's a double-edged sword. You have to think of babagay ba tong content with what we're trying to do, diba? But as much as possible, we want to cater to the creators that we already have on board. So,
Tapos, you said that yun nga, your team is the one who's uploading all the stuff yourselves, diba? It's not like yung sa Tapas or sa Webtoon that the creator could upload by themselves. I could imagine yung headache ng logistics nyo if you are the one who was doing that, all of the uploading and all of the collating ng pages. Don't you find it a bit tedious on your part that you have to do that?
Hindi naman super headache, migraine levels. Tiny lang. Pero naghahati naman kami ni Bernie with that. Siya yung sa contacting usually and like collating. Kasi usually yung ginagawa namin is nag-open up ng Google Drive folder for them. Tapos sila yung mag-upload ng requirements and stuff. And then ako yung mag-upload ng pages sa website. So yun. Kaya naman siya, like nakakaya naman siya every week na around 7 to 8 titles. Mga 15 episodes, gano'n. And like,
how many titles do you have na? How many titles do you have na in your roster na for Penlab?
I uploaded now, I think last I counted mga 93 na yung unique titles. Hindi po counted dun per episode. It's gonna reach more than 100 sa weekend.
93 titles.
Yeah, pero unique titles yun.
93 unique titles. So imagine if double.
Well, ano naman like staggered yung release. So, hindi naman super hirap. Like, hindi kami nag-upload ng 100 in a week. Parang ganon. So, yun nga, usually, mga 15 titles lang max. Ganon. Kasi may day job and school rin ako.
Yeah, yun yung iniisip ko. I'm sure you guys are not doing this na parang yan lang yung ginagawa nyo. I'm sure there are other things that you guys are doing. Nabanggit ko lang kasi if you're familiar with sa Komikon, sobrang sakit ng ulo gumawa ng catalog, and I'm just doing yung catalog lang. I'm not doing yung collation ng pages for them. I'm just doing yung catalog. So para makakuha nung stuff for the catalog, usually last minute yun. Dami nagtatanong sa akin, bakit hindi siya available for like a month before? Kasi mas ano yun, di ba? Mas may advantage for the attendees to have that catalog a month in advance. Mapaplan mo yung purchases mo. But alam nyo naman sa mga creators natin, most of them, a day or two or maybe the night before pa lang ng event, saka lang nila mafa-finalize yung actual na books nila. So that's why ganun ka-late yung catalog na yun. So a week before lang ng event. So may imagine ko yung ginagawa ninyo. Parang sobrang hirap nung ginagawa niyo.
Yun yung isang difficult thing, yung coordinating with like everybody. Kasi I think right now we have like over 100 creators na naka-sign up sa Penlab. So, ang dami ko kinakausap on a weekly basis. Especially yung mga kinukulit ko about kailan ko mag-upload or kulang pa sa Rex, may kailangan pa kami from yun. So, yun yung isang challenge.
So, yeah.
So, like, may advantage though kasi tumatanggap na kami ng mga finished works. So, parang ready na siya supposedly to upload. Parang mas ang habulan lagi is yung Rex, like yung mga icons, yung creator pages nila, gano'n. So, yun.
Tapos yun nga, I have my title with you guys, di ba? Yung digmaan. Tapos, there are times na hindi ko naiintindihan yung mga kailangan. So, kailangan ako remind ni Bernie. So, ayun nga, imagine ko, hindi lang naman ako yung kausap nyo about that. Tapos, I guess mas adept siguro yung mga mas bata with yung digital format. Pero, if you are gonna be inviting yung more of yung older folks, more on yung mas older pa sa akin actually, won't you be having a problem with yung technical formatting ng mga pages and everything?
Well, one example is yung sa Kenkoy. Kasi wide lang yung cover ni Sir Ian. So we had to make our own cover for Panda's version. So that's one of the things. So sometimes we offer assistance ganun pag hindi talaga kaya.
I asked them this from yung other platform. Nag-o-offer nga ba kayo ng assistance or service for transition from yung kanilang, iba rin kasi yung print format to web format? Do you offer yung assistance for service for yung creators na maybe a bit stubborn na mag-aral ng bagong pag-format na stuff nila?
So far pa naman wala masyado na kami na-encounter na gano'n. Actually, parang medyo opposite yung nangyayari. Like, mas excited sila to experiment with that platform. Like, si Josel, like, na-try niya gawin yung flow nung comics nila, yung bagong comics nila ni Adam, na dire-diretso na. So, parang, sobrang ganda niya kasi kung dun sa infinite scroll na interface namin. Ganon. So, mas ganon yung ano namin. But then, like with the older ones na hindi adept, like yun nga kay Sir Ian Velasquez, mas mas willing naman kami tumulong. Like, very open naman kami to that. Kasi, hindi naman siya super hirap din to change the icon or to adjust yung sizes, yung dimensions, gano'n. Yeah.
At saka yung reader din naman is compatible siya to print. I mean, to what files you use to print. So, if yung long pages, yung pages mismo, na A5, compatible naman yung reader namin. So, optional lang talaga na putol-putulin mo po by panels for the word format.
Yung initiative nyo to include yung ating mga legacy titles, which is very nice actually, since karamihan ng mga younger siguro nating readers are not familiar with yung ating comics legacy. I'm very thankful na pumayag si Sir Ian na ilagay yung Kenkoy. Are you planning with expanding yung classic line ninyo? Kasi nobody's doing that. Aside, one thing that we lost when we lost Sir Jerry was someone who was holding yung parang beacons for the legacy creators. Yung online comics museum niya and eventually yung physical comics museum niya was yung one of the sites that you could go to familiarize yourself with some of our legacy creators. Pero yun nga, hopefully ma-follow pa rin ni Ma'am Eileen yung ginagawa ni Sir Jerry. Pero yun nga, one thing na advantage na nakita ko with this new platform is you could offer then the same thing that Sir Jerry was doing before. The problem is yun nga, approaching yung families ng legacy creators. So maganda if you could, or the other group could approach then nga and include that in your library. Since marami ka rin yung matututunan if you look at yung box. It might be dated, it might be iba na yung language ng pagsusulat ng comics ngayon. Iba na rin yung formatting and everything. Pero if you can see, marami ka pa rin matututunan if you just take a look. I hope na makakuha pa kayo ng iba pang legacy creators.
We're trying super hard to get, like lagi kaming nag-isip lang kung sino ba yung kailangan i-approach so that they can help us get closer to whoever holds the estate for the rights, ganon.
Yeah.
Kasi like super important sa akin yung history ng comics. Like sobrang interesting kasi ng comics natin is ang dami niyang pinupull from the influences na yung iba-ibang genres, may sarili-sarili siyang seeds like from other cultures, ganon, or other formats. Tapos may mga landmark titles na nag-exemplify nung ganon. Tapos ina-influence siya yung kung paano tayo gumagawa ng comics ngayon. And yung grander plan namin with that archive is like to present a sort of comprehensive history, or hindi mo comprehensive, but like kahit ba lang overview ng landmark titles na ganon. Kasi I think important na malaman mo yung evolution ng history ng comics, ng medium, for you to fully understand it. Like, ang hirap rin kasi to just create out of nothing. Ganon. Kasi, wala lang, parang you're supposed to herald like a new generation, like a new phase of comics. Pero, kailangan kasi ma-realize natin that we're standing on the shoulders of giants, parang ganon.
Yeah.
And then another part of that, like why I'm so gung-ho for the archives project is kasi gusto ko rin i-stimulate sana yung comics criticism or like yung academic part ng comics. And a huge part of that is historical I mean, yung pag-aral ng history niya para mas maintindihan mo kung paano mo babasahin yung comics. Ganon. Ang hirap kasi like to just point out like based on your personal experiences with the comics. I mean, kasi like kunwari pag sinabi mo yung genre nag-start sa gantong time lang, like 2010s, gano'n. Ang hirap na kasi wrongly ina-attribute mo yung genre to something else, to someone else. Merong long line of that. Parang na-discredit yung work ng all those people that did that before.
Yeah.
Ganon.
And which is sometimes yun yung point of contention of our older creators. Not just because they're forgotten, parang yung works nila hindi na relevant sa ano.
Yeah.
Ang dami natin yun. I only started din kasi before. When I started comics, wala rin talaga akong idea. I know about yung current na version niya, which was yung tail end na nung comics industry. Pero when I started working on restoring some of yung graphic novels, those were as old as yung post-war World War II. So that's even before 1950s pa. So ganun lang katanda yung comics natin. And we had that since from that point to 1970s, sobrang booming yung comics. And yung comics natin yung nagdi-dictate ng popular culture natin. Di ba? Most of yung comics natin were before the Western movies translated their comics into movies. We were doing that even noong 1950s, 1960s.
Yeah.
And minina yung comics natin. Tapos up till now, yung mga properties na yon are still being produced, di ba? Kahit wala na yung print format, and actually nobody remembers na may print format yun.
Yeah. Yung pinaka-interesting na ganun talaga is yung mga yung Raveloverse.
Well, the Raveloverse is yung pinaka masasabi nating most visible na property. Pero like I think before ginawa ulit ni Epic na comic si Pedro Penduko, nobody had an idea that was a comic book before.
Yeah.
They just know that it was an old movie by Ramon Zamora. Pero it was from a comic book. Tapos from one of yung national artists natin of comics lang. We only have two, di ba? Si Sir Larry tsaka si Mang Francisco.
Interesting yung sa Raveloverse kasi parang si Darna, like alam natin, like very textbook comic hero, super hero siya kasi. Pero yung Jezebel, parang hindi nila rin alam na comics rin yun. Parang teleserye lang talaga siya. Pero comics rin siya. Ganun.
Kahit what was the other one yung kay Carmina? Maruha? It's also a Ravelo. Basta it's about
sorry.
it's another movie na based din sa isang comic book that nobody remembers na comic siya. So yun
comic book siya, yeah.
Napaka-rich nung history, and sana if you guys have, alam ko limited yung inyong resources and everything, pero sayang kasi na walang gumagawa nung part na yun. We are trying to do that also on our part, pero katulad ninyo, sobrang limited din yung resources namin. And medyo mahirap nga din talaga to find yung proper person to talk to kasi may mga internal stuff pa yan.
Yeah. So, ang hirap rin kasi parang baguhan din kami ni Bernie technically sa comics. Parang wala kaming old contacts na to the higher ups o kung sino man yung may rights nun. Kaya medyo nahihirapan kami. But then, we're trying to kaya like ang laki ng plans namin for it para hopefully like ma-entice sila at least in the concept of it.
Okay. So that's a very good project. So That's one thing na nagse-separate talaga sa Penlab. One thing, how can other artists who are interested to be part of your platform contact you? I know nakalagay na dun sa website nyo if you want parang may create on Penlab. Is that the only way to contact you guys?
Pwede i-message yung Kalabaw page. Sa Facebook, available rin naman kami. And may Twitter kami recently na lang nagbukas. Pero primarily, email talaga namin ginagawa. Kasi medyo parang like sana nandun na yung pitch para mas madali rin siya tignan. Ganon.
Okay. So, what would you believe to be the advantages of joining your platform, Penlab?
Bernie, gusto mo ikaw naman magsalita.
Tawag dito. My one is yung interface. Joke lang. May marami kasing parang natutuwa that their comics are tawag dito, are in a good reader. So like, we really put in an effort into, lalo sa Nissie, into building yung reader ng Penlab kasi it's really important for us na maganda yung reader experience. Ayan. And personally, it's also, personally ako din for my work, it's nice to see may comics na mababasa ng maayos like this. So I guess that's one. Second is mahirap i-market yung comics mo alone. Lalo na if yung reach mo is not that big and if you're just starting out, ganyan. And if you're part of like a community or network like Penlab, we do the promotions and we make sure that every title here is visible. I guess yun din yung isang explanation why it's curated because we put so much work into managing each title apart from just uploading. We also make sure na visible talaga siya to the public, at least in social media, na mababasa siya nung as much as many people as possible. It's like, it's free to read. So gusto namin yun na yung parang balik na kumalat palalo yung title ng creators.
Add ko lang din doon. Kasi yung ayun napansin kasi namin sa mga webcomics or like yung nag-viral na online comics. Super iba yung format niya kasi dun sa print na lalabas. So, parang kapag ka nag-website ka kasi, mas oriented siya for that kind of reading, yung narrative na mahaba, na parang issue siya talaga. Kapag ka social media kasi, like, for you to get hits or like engagement, kailangan like medyo adjusted ka dun sa yung medyo parang meme format or something.
Yeah.
Or like there's the idea of virality rin. Ganon. Go on, Bernie.
Ayun, more or less. Para kasing laging nabi-bring up nung mga creators din na hirap to market the comics and it's very difficult to like do everything in your comics alone. Like, ikaw na
true.
The drawing. Ikaw po magbenta. Not a lot of creators kasi are good or are very adept at parang really noisy marketing sa kanilang work. So that's one thing na ma-offer din namin ni Nissie kasi yung background din namin sa advertising. So we apply what we learned in those fields dito with how to sell comics or how to sell content. Ayun.
Working again. So, medyo nabanggit nyo na, pero to clearly state, how would you differentiate yourself from the other platforms?
Bernie, go.
Locally or any?
Well, let's do locally muna. Locally.
Ano ba? Nissie ko muna.
Pasahan. Well, I think strong kasi yung fact na curated siya.
Mm-hmm.
Like, curated siya, but at the same time, it's accessible. to a lot of people. Like, malaki yung advantage kasi nun. Kasi parang, hindi ka lang nag-create for like, medyo circle jerk. Like, kayo-kayo lang rin.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you're also creating in order to gain a larger audience, in order to like make the community bigger. Ganon. Like, earlier nga na-mention na we're trying to look into contacting artists, creators from other provinces. But we're also looking at getting readers from other provinces then, from other parts of the country. Kasi yun nga, like, yung iba sa kanila hindi sila aware na may comics industry, or, well, comics community sa, sa Manila. Kasi nga, wala silang events doon, or like, hindi sila nakakapunta dito. So, going digital is such a huge advantage for that. Ganon.
True. Ano yan eh, if you hear a lot, if you're part of the community, tapos you go outside of the community, like an event that's outside, tapos you're representing comics, most of your reactions that you would get would be, ay, may comics pa pala. So if you are outside of nung bubble, walang may alam. Usually, it's somebody that you know na may alam. Tapos parang two people na kilala nung tao na yun, hindi nila alam. So, and then yung basic shortcoming, isa sa mga shortcomings ng Komikon, which we have been trying to fix for the last 15 years, is basically we're always preaching to the choir, since ang aming main attendees pa rin would be the people who know that comics exist. Pero how do you go out of the bubble and let other people know that comics exist? The comics still exist. Ang hirap kasi nung, like I said, within the bubble nga, some people don't know that specific comics, like yung sa legacy creators natin, existed. Di ba? Most of them are not aware. I have conversations with other creators. They're only aware of yung 80s, 90s. But some of them are surprised that you say, post-war, World War II, may comics na tayo. And those comics are not like yung crude cartoons lang. As in graphic novels. We had graphic novels before, post-war, before the 1950s pa. And if you could see yung mga books na yun, they are so parang amazing. They could still stand up to now pag nakakita ka nung ganon. Tapos parang sobrang sayang na walang nag-archive. Sobrang sayang na hindi na preserve. Malaki sana ang tulong sa culture ng paggawa ng comics if that was preserved. Pero nga, lumalayo tayo. Are you guys considering... What's that?
May add to si Bernard.
Sige.
Nung nag-launch kasi kami, medyo nag-viral sa Twitter yung Penlab because of one of our creators, si Colo.
Which one?
Si Colo.
Colo. Okay.
Nag-viral. Nag-post kasi siya sa Twitter about Penlab, and then nag-viral yung post niya about it. And then, a lot of the people na yung mga nagre-react about it, parang sobrang bewildered sila na Filipino comics exist. Tapos, tinatawag pa nilang Pinoy webtoons. So parang that's one, yun nga, what I agree on, na one thing that we have to work on is yung going out of the bubble. Which is, kasi ako rin gumagawa ng promotions work sa Penlab, so sobrang hirap niya rin, even though nag-viral na before. Ayun.
Yeah. Medyo mahirap nga yun eh. Tapos if you are considering as a creator din, you're putting in yung effort for the entire community to be recognized, which you could also, yung time na you have put in there, you could have done to promote yourself, di ba? Medyo maganda yung nakikita ko with yung mga platforms that they're trying to push not themselves but yung comics in general. There are certain kasi previous efforts na ayun yung nakikita kong medyo hindi ko nagugustuhan, kumbaga. There would be efforts hindi lang yung online platforms, other events, pero it's so inclusive to the ones who are pushing the event. Meaning yung they're pushing yung titles nila. Yeah, these are the titles, and nandito din sila. Gets nyo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kung may may time pa kayo, nandito din tong mga to. Pero ito yung kunin nyo. So yun nga, tapos parang it would be more good PR pag sinabi lang, hindi, for everyone for everyone. Pero if you see yung stuff nila, parang why is it so centralized sa ganyan? Anyway, with yung ganun, are you guys considering exclusivity for creator to use your platform only?
Hindi. Kasi medyo mahirap kasi to impose that kind of thing. Parang hindi rin kasi super, I mean like, wala na ko yung super big na na-offer din like for them to sign on like an exclusivity contract. But my preference...
Meron kami dating, sorry to interrupt you, kasi may nag-invite sa amin dati. I forgot na yung name nung platform na gusto nilang i-push. Tapos, ang una nilang bungad sa amin would be exclusivity. Parang, if you are going to be with us, you have to take your stuff which you've already put sa ibang platforms, out of those platforms. So you have to be inclusive kagad sa amin. Tapos, yun nga, there's a new format, so if format mo pa yung stuff nyo to fit yung format nila, so work ka agad yun, tapos mawawala yung work nyo outside. So yun nga, medyo sablay lang yung start na ganun.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that none of you guys are pushing for exclusivity. Kasi parang while okay siya, especially if you have your own titles, di ba? Pero for other people na sometimes hindi naman talaga sila nagpo-push for something regular or something. Most of yung older nating mga creators are yung the ones that realize na wala talagang pera sa comics. I say that kasi as yung experience ko as an event organizer for 15 years, every year you see a batch of new creators, a batch of new creators. Some of them are only trying out para lang to scratch that itch na gagawa akong comics. Most of them are in groups. Tapos sa group na yun, out of 15, out of 10, isa lang yung magpo-pursue nung comics. Magpo-pursue na mag-create pa rin ng comics 5 years, 10 years from when they started. And most of the time, yung nagpo-pursue na yun, left any idea or claim na kikita ako dito. He's only pursuing yung comics because love niya yung medium or meron pa rin siyang kwento na kailangan niyang sabihin. Karamihan nung mga kasama niya before, some of them are more talented. Some of them were more skilled sa paggawa ng comics. left behind na yung comics. Cause, yun nga, lahat naman tayo, we have bills to pay, we have other responsibilities. So, nawawala na yung time to make and resources na gagamitin mo, gawin mo na lang sa iba. So, pag minsan, if yung exclusivity thing, if you chain someone to that, tapos parang ang pakiramdam mo is trabaho na siya. Hindi niya na gagawin yun. And I know a lot of artists, pag nakaramdam na sila ng sinasakal sila ng project na yun, tapos at the back of their mind, wala naman ako kinikita dyan eh. Wala naman akong napapala dyan. Bibitawan nila. So, yun lang yung nasabi ko about exclusivity. Patapos na tayo. What are your short-term goals for Penlab? Say, 3 years, 5 years. What do you see Penlab?
Gusto mo ikaw muna, Bernie.
Well, yung pinaka-priority namin yun is first opening yung monetization options. Mm-hmm. And second is building a solid community around it. Kasi we still, hindi pa kami tumatanggap ng user accounts. So parang yun yung next step. But we're kind of doing everything na in increments kasi maganda rin na strategy yun na tawag dito. Dahan-dahan lang para there's something you're looking forward to every year. At the same time, it's less toxic and it's healthy for us din. Kasi limited din naman ng resources namin about doing it. So, hindi rin namin kayang isagad-sagad agad. Yun siguro yung pinaka-short-term na goals namin. Is yung may avenue pa rin for creators to somehow earn and building a returning community talaga dun sa site.
We're looking at like a lot of models for monetization din. Like gusto sana namin i-complement yung print economy, yung self-publishing economy natin. Kasi ganoon din talaga tayo mag-produce ng comics. Parang nag-warm up na yung people to selling digital then. Pero malaking part pa rin kasi is print pa rin talaga yung gusto nila. Like kahit yung preference nila on like how their work wants to be exhibited. Ganon. Print rin talaga. So isang part yun is to complement that existing system na ng comics. And then another is we're looking at sort of like Patreon thing. Pero hindi pa kami super sure about it. Pero parang like it's a way to help creators earn from their stuff that like hindi siya necessarily in the form of like issues ganon. Hindi mo kailangang mag-put out before you get money ganon. So that's one. that's some of the monetization things we're looking at. And then yung archiving project then we were really planning to get a lot of landmark titles on our platform. Para rin like mix talaga siya ng yung contemporary and yung historical or kahit nga yung like yung recent lang yung sa indie era, yung 2000s. Medyo nawala na rin kasi yun sa archives eh.
Yeah, and actually I was hoping that if you could host yung other creators that stopped, those that I mentioned, more skilled, more talented, who left the medium because of one thing or another, maybe they would be inspired to do comics again. Kung magkaroon sila ng platform ulit. There are a lot, as in sobra. Di ba Komikon is doing yung aming nostalgia tour ng alam mo ba? Yeah. And because of that, ang dami kong nahuhukay ng mga indies dito. Grabe. Yung some of them hindi na talaga gumagawa, or maybe they're still doing stuff but they're not releasing it to the public. And yun nga, if you could reach yung mga creators na yun and they find yung spark ulit to share yung mga titles nila, that would be great.
Yun din yung isang thing pala. Parang tawag dito. Ito nakikita ko yung mga pinupost yung reviews about the older comics. Then parang I'm also trying to look at other sources online kung saan ko mahanap yung mga other creators na to. Kasi when Penlab started, that's how I found most of the creators then, kasi technically bago pala kami sa comics din. So I haven't bought a lot technically. So parang when we were looking for the creators, we looked at parang malaking tulong yung mga nagpo-post ng reviews online. That's how I found most of the creators. So I'd read the review and then saka ko i-contact. Ayun. So I hope mas marami pa kami mahanap na other creators or stuff kasi sobrang sayang talaga ng mga works.
So, a question I'm not really familiar. Meron bang feedback machine yung Penlab? Like readers can put feedback on the stuff that they read.
Sa ngayon wala pa kasi wala pa kami user accounts. So that's yun yung part ng short-term goals.
Kasi some of the creators don't really work well in a vacuum. Most of them naghahanap, kahit sabihin nilang hindi sila naghahanap ng input or feedback. Pero pag wala silang natatanggap, feeling nila walang pumapansin dun sa work nila. So maganda rin sana if there's a way na makapag-input ng feedback yung readers to the creators, which is why a lot of them are posting sa social media. Yung mga sinasabi nyo nag-viral kasi instant yun eh. You post it, tapos may mag-share, or tapos may mag-comment, may tapos parang si creator na wala naman daw siyang pake. Pero maganda yung pakiramdam niya. Well, depende sa feedback na natanggap niya.
Isang part rin yun na gusto namin isama actually yung parang opportunity for the creator and the reader to interact. Sa may creator page sana na pwede sila mag-upload ng work in progress pages, gano'n. Tapos parang magko-comment yung mga nakasubscribe sa kanya or something ng feedback or para support, gano'n. Mahirap rin kasi kapag risk kasi siya nga kapag nag-post ka sa social media tapos pag wala pumansin, parang gusto mo na lang i-delete. So, yun. Wala lang. At least, like, if ever, like, sa website, as in, these are, like, avid fans of yours or, like, avid fans ng comics itself. Ganun. Mas meaningful sana yung interaction na mapafacilitate nung ganun, if ever.
Okay. So, clarify ko lang, no? You're also looking into providing print services aside from the online platform?
No. Actually, mas para siyang e-commerce yung dating. Like, mag-provide kami ng gateway for, yung model kasi that we're working with now is preview, maglalagay ka ng preview sa reader namin. And then we can sell the print version directly doon sa reader.
Pero the version will be coming from the creator, not you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wala
So
pa kasi
it's like an online marketplace lang.
Yeah.
Online marketplace. Kasi I was thinking kasi ang ganda kasi ng model nung ginawa nyo. When you said na kinurate nyo yung materials, yung mga titles na lumalabas. Tapos if it is weekly, para siyang ano yung dating niya? Shonen Jump.
Yeah.
Diba? A bunch of titles sharing the same genre or ganyan. Tapos, Actually, di ba, ang sayang isipin kung may ganun yung Pilipinas. A professionalized sort of indie comics industry na you have to produce weekly or monthly yung story mo. Tapos, would be consumed by meron ka ng audience. Yeah. So, everything is digital. Ang offer nyo lang is an online marketplace for their physical copies. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any parang patikim, what can readers and creators expect from Penlab? Coming months, coming years.
Bernard.
If everything goes right, may something kami this November. So maybe
Serious?
may expect may launch kami this November.
Mm.
Pero sa pala ako sa mga tao. So tingnan natin, but yeah, that's one. And another thing we're looking into, like nabanggit niyo kanina yung professionalized indie thing. We're actually kind of looking into that with digital. Okay lang ba sabihin ko, Nissie? Anyway,
Go na.
parang kasi lagi namin napag-uusapan ni Kom na subscription. How can we do parang comic subscription efficiently? Kasi like, yung isang model or reference namin is Manga Plus or Shonen Jump. And sa Shonen Jump, meron silang parang 100 pesos na monthly subscription daw. So parang may 3 free chapters lang. So if you want to read everything else, you can pay 100 a month. So we're sort of looking into doing that. Kaso ngayon mahirap kasi there's 100 creators.
Hindi kami magaling sa math. Oo, ang hirap i-crunch ng numbers.
Sure. Hindi yung problem namin. Hindi kami magaling sa math.
Like 100 creators, how do you divide in profits between them? So
yeah,
it's one about subscription.
Actually, magandang idea yan. Isa pang maganda idea, physical form yung iniisip nyo would be like a loot crate ng indies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Monthly subscription. Tapos you send them yung choices every month to sample.
Yeah. Napag-usapan rin namin yan na parang blind recommendation. Parang mag-fill up ka lang ng form based on like your preferences. Tapos kami magsasend sa'yo. Pero medyo mahirap pa siya i-execute.
Ang naisip ko naman kasi is you have a genre every month. So whatever kung ano man preference nila, for this month it's comedy. You get all comedy stuff. Next month would be all horror, all romance, all slice of life, autobiographical comics. Tapos that way, masample nila lahat. So, yan na. Thank you for taking your time answering my questions. And sorry if madalas ako ma-off tangent.
Okay lang.
Final words for creators and readers. Creators who are looking forward to join your online platform and to readers who will be availing of yung comics from your platform.
For creators, well, we're one email away. So kung may stuff ka na ayaw mo pa ilabas, gano'n, or natatakot ka, like you can try out. I think it's a good chance to try it out first on digital. Bago ka like mag-invest sa print, gano'n. That's one. And then for readers, well, pinaka-ano ko talaga sa readers is like to just keep exploring like the library.
Yeah.
Kasi usually natatrap ka sa own preferences mo. Pero ang dami kasing faces ng Pinoy comics. Ganon. Ang daming different ideas and art styles and like different narratives, different kinds of stories. Na parang, I don't know, like, I don't want to say it like this, pero parang globally competitive rin naman siya. Usually kasi like we regard comics as like parang hindi siya ready to like as an export, parang gano'n. Like not on the level of how Japan does it. Yun yung idea kasi. I mean like, well, the idea is patay na ang comics talaga. Pero yun, hindi siya patay at all. I think, sobrang vibrant niya and so
Well,
diverse.
I think nagpo-push no idea na bakya yung comics would be current media. Pag if you get interviewed or something, ang pinapalabas pa rin nilang image ng comics would be our newsstand comics. The Bangketa comics. Yun pa rin yung prevalent na alam ng tao kung ano yung comics. Which is dapat iniiba natin kasi iba na talaga yung mukha ng comics today. Like there's yung online platform. And kahit yung physical copies, physical form ng comics natin, iba na rin yung itsura. Ang layo na niya dun sa dati. Pero yun pa rin yung persisting na image ng comics, which I guess nagpo-push pa rin yung sinasabi mo idea na sobrang bakya or hindi export quality ng comics natin. Pero yun nga, why are foreign publishers coming to our creators to do their work for them, diba? There is a niche ng comics community natin that are working for foreign publishers. Hindi yun maikakaila. Though ayaw kasi nila magpa-numbers kasi matatax sila. Pero that's aside from your point. Pero the talent is here. Most of our creators are world class. Hindi lang yung ating mga illustrators, pati yung ating mga writers. Yung ideas dito is parang hindi mo na lang malaman kung saan nila pinagbubunot yun. At ayun nga, at tulad na sinasabi ko pa, if I look at comics pag minsan, parang hindi naman yun magiging stranger if you see it outside the Philippines. Hindi siya magiging stranger in any bookstore outside of the Philippines. It's globally competitive, quality-wise in art and yung story. And sometimes you just have to try something else. Kasi most prevalent na idea na makukuha ko if I'm talking to someone outside ng bubble, outside ng circle ng comics, meron silang very specific na idea kung ano yung comics na lumalabas. For example, someone who said na Filipino comics, puro superhero lang yan na kinopya sa Marvel.
Yeah.
Tapos, when was the last time you read something local? When was the last time you bought anything na local? Sasabihin niya mga 2007, 2005. Parang, if you go around any event, not just our event, any event, tell me kung ilang superhero comics yung makita mo. Halos wala na.
Yeah.
Maybe one, maybe two, yung akin. Or tapos, they still keep parroting yung sinasabi, puro ganyan. Or sabihin, puro manga wannabes. Puro manga wannabes. Yeah. When was the last time? Diba? Sobrang iba na yung landscape nung mga comics, creators. Iba. Sobrang iba na yung landscape ng comics. Sobrang varied na yung influences. Hindi na lang siya iisang bagay humuhugot yung mga tao. Kasi hindi na nga rin siya humuhugot kung what is popular at this time. Hindi na tayo ganoon, di ba? So yun lang sabi ko. Bernie, last words. Sorry. Hijack ako.
Yun, same din. Kasi even though may tawag dito, for the readers, even though may Penlab na rin kasi, marami pa rin ako nakikita, like specific sa Twitter, sinasabi na yung mga comics, ito lang sila, 13. Sabi kung ano-ano yung mga popular. So parang, nandito na nga sila sa isang place. So, ayun. So that's one more thing na parang I hope that more, and not just our readers, I hope that more people who can discover Penlab can explore more. Kasi that's one of the reasons why we really built this thing is parang to give more noise to comics as a whole. Ayun. And for creators, yun nga, huwag kayong mahiya or huwag kayong maghintay na invite pa. Ayun.
Yeah.
Kasi
Yan lang.
iba,
One thing na ma-advise ko for you guys, some of the creators are really shy.
yeah.
Okay? So you have to really approach them. And sometimes mas nag-work yun if you approach them kasi it's a boost sa ego that you recognize someone.
Yeah.
Sometimes kasi merong mga creators that would have an inferiority complex even if sobrang superior ng skills nila and talent. Tapos sabihin nila they don't really care, pero if they don't get invited, they feel slighted.
Yeah.
So you just have to ayun nga, timplahan lang ng stuff
Yeah.
ng pakikitungo with other people. I guess it's with any industry or any community naman.
Yeah.
Meron talaga maganda. So yun. So with that, thank you. Thank you very much for
Thank you rin.
pagpapa-unlock sa amin. Sorry kung medyo mahilig ako mang hijack ng
Okay lang.
tanong.
Fun naman. Fun discussion.
Hopefully, more eyeballs to your platform. Good luck to Penlab. This will air sa ating Komikon November 21. Komikon Grande 21. It's online ulit. Sana meron na tayo ulit na real in real life event, pero yun nga, dahil sa pandemic, ano lang tayo ngayon. And yeah, thank you guys.
Malapit yun sa anniversary namin. Yung collective namin. November 19 kami.
So I guess one event din yun nun. Anong event yun? Anong event yun?
Wala, wag. Sa Komikon din.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buti buo pa kayo. Well, ayun naman yung nature ng cycle ng Comic-Con. You come into Comic-Con part of a group. Tapos eventually, magkakaroon ka ng seatmate na lagi mong ka-seatmate. So eventually, you're gonna be forming your own group. That was your parang cycle. Parang ang dami ko na gano'n na nakitang cycle sa sa Comic-Con. So, ayun na, tigil na. Ang dami ko sinasabi. Thank you guys. See you sa 21.
Thank you. Bye-bye.